It begins with a label, a single word used as a shortcut to dismiss an entire worldview: fairy tale. Religion is placed into that category, and with it, God is placed into that category, not as a careful argument, but as a broad rejection of everything the framework contains. Yet what is being dismissed here is not a minor idea. It is a claim about God as the creator of everything, that existence itself is not self-originating, that the universe is not a closed accident of matter and chance, that there is an unseen layer of reality beyond what is physically observable, that meaning, order, and direction are not illusions imposed by humans, but part of a deeper structure of existence. That human life is not random biological noise, but part of a created system with purpose. That accountability is not limited to human institutions alone, but tied to something beyond them. This is the scope of what gets compressed into the word fairy tale. But within that same framework comes another dimension, not isolated, not separate, but part of the same worldview: a moral structure, justice, fairness, honesty, responsibility, accountability, compassion, self-control. Understood not as cultural inventions, but as part of how human beings are meant to exist within a created order. Now the dismissal becomes sharper. If God is a fairy tale, then the entire framework associated with God is being rejected as fiction, not just belief in a being, but belief in an origin of existence, unseen reality, purpose, moral structure, and the framework of existence itself. However, the contradiction appears when the scope of what is being dismissed is compared with how human beings, regardless of any worldview, actually reason about and interpret reality. Because both religious and secular frameworks engage with the same observable world, but they differ in how that reality is ultimately interpreted. Observable reality is not in dispute. What differs is what that reality is taken to point toward. In religious reasoning, observations such as the existence of humans, order in nature, consciousness, and life itself are interpreted as evidence pointing beyond the physical system toward a transcendent source and creator. In secular reasoning, the same observations are interpreted as phenomena fully explainable within the physical system itself, through natural laws, biological processes, and human cognition. So both frameworks work with the same starting point, observable reality, but diverge at the level of explanation, whether reality includes a transcendent source beyond the physical universe, or is fully contained within the physical universe itself. These are not identical claims. They are different explanatory foundations applied to the same lived reality. So now the tension becomes visible. If religion is dismissed as a fairy tale simply because it involves God, unseen reality, and metaphysical claims about existence, then that is not a neutral description of religion. It is a rule being applied. Anything beyond direct physical observation is being treated as fairy tale. But many secular worldviews also rely on assumptions that are not directly observable, including the existence of order in reality, the intelligibility of the universe, the reliability of human reason, human agency, moral responsibility, and meaningful interpretation of existence. They also reject the metaphysical grounding of morality, God, divine order, transcendent authority, while still using similar moral content, which they justify and enforce through human-centered social, psychological, and institutional systems, including legal frameworks. So if that rule is being used as a basis for dismissing religion, then it cannot be selectively applied, because according to that logic, secularism is also a fairy tale, not as a personal claim, but as the consequence of the same standard being applied consistently. Which means the issue is not which worldview is correct. It is whether the label fairy tale is being used as a consistent analytical standard, or as a one-directional dismissal of one framework while exempting another from the same scrutiny.